Ta'ala says, verily I have not created mankind nor jinn except for one reason, and that is what? To worship me. But now we need to know what does worship means. We have to be very specific in the definition of worship. The scholars say that worship means three things. That we have a responsibility towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have a responsibility towards our own selves, and that we have a responsibility towards the rest of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us to protect our generation and the next generation, for us to bring that pleasure and happiness, then we have to work in those three areas that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained us to stay in. The responsibility towards Allah, the responsibility towards ourselves, the responsibility towards what? The rest of creation. The first one is responsibility towards Allah. We need to bring people and encourage people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to make it a good thing and a happy thing to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The brother talked about the conflict between the parents and the kids. It is unsuitable that a father says to the son, go and pray, and he doesn't pray. Then he says to the son, don't smoke, and he's out there smoking a cigarette. A lot of those conflicts, don't talk to this girl and don't talk to that girl, and he's sitting there watching American Idol every day. A lot of those conflicts we need to resolve and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity and stay in the straight path. The first thing we need to do to protect this generation and the next generation is something else. It's not enough that I pray and you pray. But we need to make it part of our life in America that we pray. What do I mean? In Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Bosnia, in a lot of those countries, on Fridays, everybody has it off. It's part of the institution that in Jummah prayer, everybody's in the masjid. Even the people that were drinking last night, and even the people that were clubbing. Am I lying or I'm saying the truth? It's true. Friday, everybody's there. It's part of everyone's program. And that is what we need to do in America. We need to make Eid a state holiday and a federal holiday. We need to make Ramadan respected and well known. In correctional facilities, we have brothers, they don't get dinner. Latest thing is 4:30. After that, no dinner. So the effort that we're working on is no longer just me and myself. If you want to protect the next generation, the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be what? Institutionalized. So that the brother, you're struggling with the brothers and sisters that, brothers come to the masjid and they don't come to the masjid. Well, guess what? If I work at John Deere and I don't pray, and at John Deere they say if you're a Muslim, you got 2 hours off, I'd be like, okay, I'll go to the masjid. So we need to think proactively. Our goal in the next future is what? To institutionalize Islam in America. So that Eid is a federal holiday, is a state holiday. And we are the ones who can do it. But we have to what? Motivate each other. We have the radio waves, we have the internet, we have our kids in the schools, we have our kids in the universities, we have our professors teaching in the universities, we have our doctors in the hospitals, we have our engineers in the companies and whatever. So we have to institutionalize the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do that, even the brothers and sisters you're talking about that are out there, that are drinking and clubbing and not coming in and boyfriend and girlfriend, when I go to John Deere, when I go to IBP and whatever, and you tell me that you're a Muslim and Eid is off, you have a holiday, okay, I'll come to the masjid. So we have to institutionalize the worship of Allah. The second thing that we need to do is responsibility towards our own self. It's part of our religion. What does that mean? It means emotional, educational, spiritual, and financial. Let me start with emotional. We just said it earlier in Surah An-Nisa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ. If you're a man, Allah has made it in your heart. Let me qualify that. If you're a normal man. We live in 2009. You have to be more specific. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My favorite one is what they do is haram. Okay, if you want to do haram, do the haram. But now they want the church to approve it as a marriage. If you're doing haram, do the haram. Don't try and make it part of faith and religion. That's a whole different subject by itself.
This is another 14 years.
That's another 14 years. But the point that I'm getting to is the emotional part. We need to solve emotional parts as a community. What do I mean? I'm a boy. I'm a man. By nature, I'm going to love a woman. Don't be reactive. Don't sit here in the masjid and say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Our boys, they have girlfriends, and our girls are going out with the boys, and da-da-da-da-da. You're sending them to the schools. You're putting them in front of the TV. You're putting the gas over here. You're getting the lighter. You're putting it in front of the tank. And then the fire sparks, and then you say, oh, there's a fire. How do we solve that problem? We solve that problem by being proactive. Part of our function in the masjid, we need to form a committee that handles that emotional vacuum that we as Muslims have. The unmarried brothers and sisters from a very young age, we need to have something for them. If I'm 14, 15, 16, 17, I know how I'm going to marry a Muslim woman, and she's available and accessible to me. If I'm a Muslim girl, I know how accessible it is for me to reach a Muslim man. But it has to be something that is institutionalized. Ask the imams, ask the scholars, and find a way that is halal, where we can have that contact. When I was in Florida, I'll give you one example of a brother that had a Muslim grocery store, Middle Eastern store. Whenever a Muslim man comes in, you know what he does? Are you married? He says no. He says, come over here. Takes a picture. Boom, a Polaroid picture. Sticks it up. What's your name? My name is this. He writes it down. What do you do? I do this. Where are you from? Puts it there. Whenever a mother comes in with her daughter, is your daughter married? No, she's not. Come here, sister. What's your name? Write it down. What is this? What is this? This is a brother did not have to come to the masjid and give a khutbah about it's haram, our boys are driving girlfriends, and our girls are... He was proactive. A lot of people got blessed and married because of that grocery store. It's someone that said, I am going to find a solution for it. In Miami, we have an imam. I don't know if it's halal or haram. But he's a scholar. He's a scholar from an Azhar, so I think it might be halal. As they say around campaigns, I don't approve this message, okay? So don't say that I said that it's good or bad. But I'm going to tell you what this imam does. You know what this imam does? Every Friday night after Isha and Saturday night, when all of us go home, you know what he does? He calls the brothers and says, come here. Where are the clubs at? They say over there. We know the clubs here. And I used to live in this area, so trust me, I had friends that I know it's less than a mile away across from the bridge. You know what the imam used to do after Isha? He would get two brothers from the masjid. He says, come here with me. And they go to the clubs. And they find the Muslim boys that are walking out with girls. And you know what he does? He says, brother, this is $1. It's called the mahr, your dowry. Here are two witnesses. Instead of going home and doing that which is haram, how about you give it to her as a gift, as her dowry? And here are the two witnesses, and she's your wife. You get rewarded tonight. But brother, my parents what? You're doing the haram. Are they going to prove the haram? No, do the halal. Get married right now. That brother, every Friday and Saturday night, has at least 5 or 10 Muslim boys getting married. And instead of falling in the haram, they're falling in the halal. And now his masjid is full of what? The brothers that were going out there in the clubs and spending and drinking and whatever, now they love that imam. They come to the masjid not because of the community or because they fear Allah so much as they do love that imam. Because he's made the path to halal so easy to them. My brothers and sisters, let's be proactive. I'm not saying let's do that exactly. But the point that I'm making is we, to protect our next generation, we have to deal with the second responsibility of the Muslim, which is towards ourselves. There's an emotional vacuum. Deal with it. Find a way that our Muslim kids can meet Muslim girls, and the Muslim girls can meet Muslim boys. Find a way that that brother that is in the club, what's tonight? Saturday night and the weather is so nice? Oh my God. True or false? How many brothers are going to go out to the clubs right here, a mile away, and commit zina tonight? And we can switch it. But what do you want to do? We want to sit here and say what? So, if we want to solve the problems of our responsibility towards ourselves, then we need to know that we have an emotional vacuum that we need to fill. There's different ways of filling it. I just gave you 2 examples, but you find ways of how the brothers that are new to Islam, the brothers that are Muslims that have been here,